Hi, this is Vivian van de Velde. We have come to the end of Alison Who Went Away. I will be reading chapter 48, which is the last chapter today. However, I will be coming into your home again tomorrow, if you invite me, of course, to talk to you a little bit about how I came to write the story. A reminder that I wrote this in 2001, and since this was a time before cell phones, there were phone booths where people who were away from home could make their phone calls from a phone booth. Chapter 48. We have to stop at a gas station phone booth to look up the address of Broman and Foss, but Andy finds the place without any trouble. Andy says no way is he going to crash somebody's funeral, and he'll wait in the truck. Spencer comes in with me. We go we get in the main doors, but then we see that we're in trouble. There are 4 rooms off this hallway, each with a sign so that people will know where the dead person they're looking for is. Robert Dietz's name is over the first door on the right. No problem so far. Except someone standing there. He's obviously a guard, despite the conservative charcoal gray suit, and he's intent on letting in family members only and keeping out the curious public. Even now, this man, whether an employee of the funeral home or of the family, is arguing with a man and woman who have brought a camera and are wearing plastic name tags that say Port Champlain Times. "Show a little respect for the dead man's mother, will you?" the guard says. "How's it going to benefit the public for you to ask her what she's feeling?" I can't hear what the newspaper people are answering, but whatever it is, it must not fully capture the interest of the guard. He glances up and sees us and waves for us to go on into the room. I move without stopping to think, and Spencer, holding onto my arm, moves with me. It must be our clothes, I figure. Spencer's navy blue jacket and my dress borrowed from Robin are both proper funeral home attire. But then I catch a glimpse of my tear-streaked face in the mirror over the guest book and realize the guard assumed we were family. The room is large, but it's practically empty. I've been to funerals before, several times, having 3 sets of elderly great aunts and uncles. Those have been large gatherings, usually noisy, usually involving a lot of milling about and catching up with relatives only seen at funerals and weddings, and, in the case of the Hondorfs, usually including Wally's cousin Lydia slipping Tupperware catalogs into the purses of the other women. This is nothing like that. There are about 10 people, all sitting in a row, silent. I try not to look at them, but they're all looking at me. From the side of his mouth, Spencer whispers to me, "Do you want to go closer?" Which is euphemistic for, "Do you want to go right up to the body?" "Yes," I whisper back. There's a kneeler in front of the casket, but I certainly have no intention of praying for Robert Dietz. Life, I think, is a series of random accidents. Robert Dietz is a random accident. I stand there, looking down at his face. I'm aware of Spencer next to me, and I can tell by the angle of his head that he's staring at the brass fittings of the casket rather than at the body. But I'm looking directly at Dietz's face. I'm thinking, this is the man who probably killed my sister. Some of the victims had been raped, some not. He admitted to having sex with one woman after she was dead. Did Alison know about him, I wonder? She disappeared before the newspapers started making a big deal about a serial killer. Did Dietz kill her quickly, before she had a chance to see it coming? Did he say, "Here, get in my car," and then suddenly pull out a knife or a club from behind his back? Or did he pay her to have sex with him first? That's something else he admitted to doing occasionally. Was he creepy all along so that she was afraid of him? Or did he pretend to be nice? He doesn't look scuzzy and demented. In the photos from the newspaper and the evening news with his loose-fitting prison shirt and his arms shackled, he looked like a killer. Now he looks like a department store mannequin who may or may not have been the only person to know what happened to my sister. I hate him. And all in all, I'm glad he's dead. but I'm certainly incapable of some grand gesture like spitting in his face or tipping over his coffin or grabbing him by the lapels of his suit and screaming, "Where is she?" I'm only aware that I've begun crying again when Spencer tugs on my arm and begins to pull me away. I start to sob uncontrollably. A woman stands from that silent row of mourners. By her age, I guess her to be Robert Dietz's mother. What kind of mother raises a serial killer? I want to blame her, since there's nothing I can say to Dietz, but she comes up to me. She doesn't say a word. She doesn't smile or frown or give any indication what she's thinking. She just lays her hand on my arm, and then she returns to her chair. Spencer leads me out of there, past a well-dressed guard at the door, out the main door. He doesn't bring me to Andy's truck, but sits me down on the waist-level wall that surrounds the parking lot, away from the lights, giving me a chance to pull myself together. Life is a series of random accidents, I tell him. He doesn't look any more convinced than Rosenblum did. We fought, I say then, something I never told any of them, not my parents, not the police, not the psychologist, not even Connie. They think she's the bad girl because of the things she did. I can barely speak. I know my voice is a whisper, but I'm the bad girl because I'm the one who made her leave. Spencer squeezes my hand, and I tell the rest of it. I caught her in my room, holding on to the money I'd gotten as birthday presents from my aunts and uncles. I rubbed my eyes, mascara and all, to stop the tears, to wipe out the picture of me slapping her and a surprised look on her face. I fight not to hear the hateful things I called her, nor the way she answered, "Who needs any of you?" as she threw the money back at me and stalked out the door. I locked myself in the room in case she changed her mind. I heard her throwing things around in her own room and then downstairs. Then the front door slammed. We never found out where she went. We never saw her again. Softly, Spencer says, "My God, Sybil, you can't blame yourself." No, I think. No, that's true. I could blame any one of my three parents. I could blame Dad, who I know already blames himself, thinking Alison became boy crazy to prove to herself and the world that she wasn't gay like her father. And then there's Mom, who also blames herself, thinking that if she hadn't divorced Dad, Alison might not have run wild. I've heard Wally blame himself, sometimes for being too easy and letting her get away with too much for too long, and other times for coming down too hard on her. Probably Grandma Castleman, Grandma and Grandpa Walsh, and Grandma and Grandpa Hondor feel guilty for some reasons of their own. Or I could blame Robert Dietz's mother. Or I could blame Alison, who made her own decisions. Or maybe it's time to let go of blaming. Funeral parlors are a place for letting go. Going to the funeral parlor for Robert Dietz is not the same as going for Alison, but it's a beginning. Funeral parlors are for saying goodbye. If I can get used to my hair and to singing and dancing and to going out with a boy, I can get used to Alison being dead. I get a mental picture of Dr. Mahar, stupid little teeth and all. Not now, I tell him, remembering how his "How do you feel" routine ruined things with Matt Burke. And even though that was the right choice and everything worked out, I'm busy right now. But Dr. Mahar's voice says, take one step in any direction. One step, I think, in any direction. I decide to tell Ms. Lamond what really happened. It will be hard, I know. "Ms. Lamond," I will say, when school resumes after Christmas vacation, "I need to tell you something about Alison." I will say goodbye to Alison. I will stop feeling guilty that she is gone, and I will stop feeling relieved that she is gone, and I will stop feeling guilty that I feel relieved. It is a time to let go and move on without her. I will step away from Alison. Spencer must have grabbed a handful of tissues from Broman and Foss, for he pulls a wad of them from his pocket and starts dabbing at my face. He melts a bit of snow in his hand to moisten the tissue to remove the streaks of mascara. I use his hanky to blow my nose, noisily. Finally, he asks me, "Do you want to go home?" Do I look that bad that I have to go home? I ask. Excuse me. You look beautiful, he says, which would have been an exaggeration even at the beginning of this evening. I let it slide. I tell him, I want your chauffeur to take us to the ball. And he does. I hope you enjoyed Alison Who Went Away, and I hope you tune in tomorrow to hear how I came to write the story. Meanwhile, stay safe and be kind.